Alright, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, what to say? Here we are again. Another week, another episode. I feel good vibes this week. I feel like, we got the cat chilling in the background. We got just like some coffee shop vibes. And I should mention, by the way, welcome to the Breakfast Club. I'm Freeced, of course. And this week I'm joined by ZaynaKitty. Wait a minute.
I don't think that's
Is that
alright, so
not
we're on you're on the wrong show, buddy.
is that okay? Because I looked I started I felt like something was off. I was looking and I realized, like, I don't see Pat anywhere. I'm not holding a mug. I actually have a plastic Tupperware cup. That is not very breakfasty at all. And also, I'm just not in a coffee shop. Um, so maybe you should handle the intro. Maybe you should tell me where I am and what's going on.
Alright. Well, instead of telling you, I'll tell everyone else. Hey
Probably a good
everyone,
idea.
welcome to my channel. Uh, this is a neat little interview series where, or at least I'm starting off where it's just me interviewing nerdcore artists and other people within the community that are relatively prominent figures, uh, as well as other people who are rising or just starting to get in, etc., etc. Today, I am joined by Freeced.
Good to be on the series.
Yeah, thank you for coming by. Um, so, uh, I usually don't have too much planned with these. If you've seen any of my interviews, it's just kind of rolling with whatever pops into my head.
Yes, I appreciate that format. I am not very much of a planner. I'd say probably 90% of what happens on the Breakfast Club is completely unplanned, and it usually works out. So I'm very optimistic about that format.
Yeah. Also, for new viewers, if you can't already tell, I have a whole new layout for this now.
It
Uh,
looks snazzy.
yeah. Um, so before we just continue rambling on about what this is, my new layout, etc., etc., let's talk about you. Who is Freest?
Well, that's me. I'm Freest. I'm mostly known, I think, as a nerdcore rapper. Over on my YouTube channel, Freest, or over on Twitter. I think those are the two places I'm kind of like the most active. Um, but I voice act. I do some skits and sketches and stuff. I think I'm like um end up being sort of like the de facto comedy relief a lot of different places around the internet. So if you've seen me pop up somewhere but didn't know who I was, that's me. Yeah, I'm a nerdcore rapper slash fill in the blank.
Yeah, and that fill in the blank is pretty much just whatever you feel like doing.
Really is.
Yeah. So, funny enough, uh, you and I kind of met through just chatting in Twitch chat, if I remember
Yep.
correctly.
Yeah. I feel like we both frequent a lot of the same Twitch chats. Um, which is a lot of the nerdcore artists streams and like related streamers. So probably hanging out in a lot of like Schwabity's chats. I would think Schwabity's maybe like
Yeah.
Rustages, Connor Quests, probably those sort of like those general circles. So we would see each other's names pop up a lot. I think that's something that probably a lot of people have seen me around in chats and maybe didn't know who I was because I've got a lot more E's in my name on Twitch. There's like 6 E's in the middle. It tends to throw people off.
FR6ECD.
That's right. FREEECED rolls right off the tongue.
Uh, so, uh, while we're talking about who is Freest, how did you come up with the name Freest? Or is that just part of your name?
So I didn't really come up with the name Freest. I actually back when I was like 14 or 15 and I was just getting into music. Back then I was actually part of like the pony like MLP scene and as like which is actually how I became a fan of Rustage way back in the day when he had like 300 subs and he was
You
doing
mean the
like
dumplings?
the dump actually I mean Pipsqueak.
Oh,
Uh to go back one name further. Um but yeah, like so Rustage and Shwabadi, like those are two other people who kind of like nerdcore artists who came out of that scene and I guess I'm kind of the same in some ways. It definitely helped me get like grounded in what an online music community could be because they had like a really strong music community. Um, but yeah, I actually came up with the name. Once I say it, people are gonna look at my old channel. But I'm at peace with that. Uh, you find a lot of really subpar music. It's not that interesting, I promise. But my old name was Forever Freest, which is an anagram sort of Everfree Forest, and there's like a an E that goes missing in there. But like which is a place it's like a show reference, right, for the MLP fandom. Um, and then what would happen is like on like, Skype and wherever I would talk to people, that would get shortened to Freest,
hmm.
which is spelled Freest, and it's a real word that's been around for like hundreds of years. That just means the most free, but people don't really know that word, so they would pronounce it like Freest. Um, and of course, I would get annoyed at that because like that's not how it's pronounced, and people were saying my name wrong. Um, but then after a while, people who actually knew how to pronounce it would spell it Freeced, just as like a joke of saying like, "Oh yeah, we know how it's like pronounced, but we're gonna say it wrong anyway."
Just to mess with
Um,
you.
right. So that was mostly like my best online friends would do that. And so that sort of like caught on just with kind of my circle. And then when I decided to start a new YouTube channel last year and start making some sort of like general nerdcore music, I was like, well, like I don't really want to overhaul my whole name. I don't want to overthink it. For a while, I thought about just like doing everything under my real name. I think I was inspired by like Zach Sherwin, who lost his stage name MC Mr. Napkins some years ago, and I was like, maybe I'll do that. And then I was like, nah, like maybe not. Um, so yeah, I was just like, well, people call me Freest, like my friends call me Freest, so I'm just gonna go by that. So I just did like a very small change from like Freest to Freest. Um, and that's just what it's been ever since. So the name Freest is like a few years old, but me actually using it as my title is just like about a year old.
So basically, what you're saying is, it started off as a running joke, and then you just stuck with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of good nicknames happen that way.
Yeah. All right. So, uh, whew, I had a yawn. All right.
You got it. It's pretty late, right? We're on the same time zone.
Yeah, it is pretty late. I,
It's like
I
1 a.m.
yeah, at the
Now
time of
this is like peak hours for me. Like I'm definitely a night owl, but
usually the past few days now, as of this recording, I have been waking up around 2 or 3 a.m. because I fall asleep at like 7.
yeah. Sometimes it just happens. Like last week, I think it was. I got in, or like maybe 2 weeks ago, I had fully flipped my you yawned and then Marmot yawned. I had like fully flipped my sleep schedule to where I was just like I was falling asleep at like 9, 10 a.m. waking up at like 4 or 5 p.m. Um, wasn't great, but yeah, I feel like I have like a decently normal sleep schedule again, so it comes back around. I think you just gotta wait on it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the I was about to say something and I forgot what it was. Uh, but yeah, sleep can be a bit rough sometimes. Uh, and we're not gonna go too much into that. Uh, Instead, we're gonna talk about um. So I forgot what I was gonna say. This happens. It's okay. Anyways, words are a thing. I'm not editing this.
And I respect that. You know, that's what you get on this show. See, my show has, like, tons of edits, partially because I, like, clear my throat a lot, uh, partially because I wanna, like, edit like, get it sounding really slick, but here what you get is just, like it's, like, raw, honest footage of, it's really just a chat. This is, like, the most natural, like, relaxed, like it's like 2 people talking. You get you watching are having the same experience as we are in the moment.
Yeah,
I think that's unique. I like it.
yeah. But I had a kind of a similar experience recording with Afro, but I gotta get around to re-recording that because that one didn't go so well. Um, but yeah, most a good bit of this is mostly just conversation, and then I ask questions.
Mhm.
Um, so about all right. So about how long have you been doing music just in general, and about how long of it has been amongst the nerdcore community?
So, I feel like that question has, like, a few stages to it. I think I've pretty much always been interested in music. Um, I my parents had me taking piano lessons, starting when I was 6. So I took piano lessons from when I was, like, 6 to 13. Um, and I really liked playing the piano. I didn't really love, like, playing the stuff in the books, like the sheet music and whatever. I think starting around, like, 9 or 10, I always wanted to, like, make up my own stuff. Um, so maybe when I was, like, 10 or 11, I think I started writing a lot of songs. I had just, like, a succession of notebooks I would always be writing lyrics in, and it was kinda funny because at that time, like, I didn't really listen to any songs. Um, like, in my house growing up, like, it was pretty like, my parents were pretty strict, especially when it came to stuff like music. So we were listening to, like, classical music and, like, not a lot else. So my influences were, like, very, very limited. So some of the first, like, music that I heard that wasn't just, like, old or, like, whatever, like, few songs I'd heard, like, from the, radio or, like, in stores or whatever, would have been, like, online stuff, like epic rap battles. um, like, I remember having the Chuck Norris versus Abraham Lincoln rap battle on my 3rd gen iPod Nano and, like, just listening to it over and over and over again. My friend used to email me MP3s of the epic rap battles. So, I would listen to them on MP3, like, long before I ever saw the videos. Um, and then, like, I think, like, just due to, like, my circles at that time and, like, being, friends with mostly just, like, other people from my church and stuff, that I was in at the time. I listened to, like, some, like, Christian rap and things like that, which is kind of funny because, like, a little bit of a tangent, but, like, I'd say, like, of Christian contemporary music, it's a genre that I think, like, deservedly gets a lot of criticism for not being judged by the same standards. I would say that, like, the rap part of that is, like, on a technical level, pretty good. Like, pretty good, like, compared to some of the other stuff within it. So that is largely what got me interested in rap, like a combination of that plus, plus, like, epic rap battles, which is kind of an interesting combination. Um,
Yeah,
so so it was kind of in that range of, like, between 11 and 13, I started, like, writing some stuff. Um, I didn't start out as rap. Um, it was just, like, songs that I could play on the piano and sing. A lot of them were, like, comedy type songs. Um, and then I think, like, 13 is about when like 12 or 13 is when I got interested in rap. And I think one of the first rap songs that I ever wrote was it was like a rap battle recreation of the, like, fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 3. So, like, I took, like, the sort of dialogue from that, and I incorporated it into this rap battle. And at the time, I had no idea how to, like, record a song or, like, make a beat or find a beat or anything like that. So it was just kind of like I had it, like it was just, like, in a notebook. That I would say, like, that's as far as a lot of my first songs got. It's just, like, they were just lyrics in a notebook. I probably have dozens, if not hundreds, of just, like, songs written down in old notebooks that will never see the light of day. Um, but then when I was, like, 13, 14, I got Audacity, and, I started recording a little bit, like, I learned how to record with that. My friend Dustin, I think is the one who taught me how to use Audacity. We would record just, like, any old thing, like, he played or plays the, keyboard, like, super well, so he would record a lot of keyboard stuff. Um, and then we would just fool around with, like, a lot of vocal stuff. And I would just spend hours and hours in our basement on our, like, old Gateway computer, just messing with Audacity, like, learning how to record, how to edit stuff, how to use effects. Um, so honestly, like, I credit a lot of my early, like, recording and production experience with just, like, having nothing else to do. Like, I didn't we didn't have we were way out in the country, we didn't have internet really, um, like, to speak of. I didn't have video games at the time. Uh, I just had a gateway computer with Audacity on it, and, eventually like, demo of FL Studio, um, where I would have to, you couldn't export anything from it, so I'd have to make, like, my beat, um, which I was terrible at doing because I didn't know how to use FL. Um, and then I would play it, and then I would run an aux cord out from the headphone jack into the microphone input, and then I would record the beat from FL Studio into Audacity. And then I would, like, rap over that. Uh, and none of that stuff ever made it onto YouTube.
Huh.
Um, Eventually, I did start a YouTube channel, when I got into the MLP fandom, so I was, like, 14 maybe, and, yeah, I started doing some really terrible rap, which is the first rap that anybody does. And it was terrible for a little while. And then I got a little bit better. Um, and yeah, so I would say, like, I've been doing music, like, most of my life. Um, but, like, nerdcore, I think, and, like, like, internet influenced music has had just, like, a really big influence on me, like, for most of the time that I've been definitely all the time that I've been recording. So that's a very long-winded answer to your question. I feel like you got, like, an encyclopedic, um,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
rundown there,
So
but, there you
this
go.
is basically a Freeced tell-all video.
Yeah, Freeze reveals all, there's your thumbnail.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I asked is because, like, so many people in the community just start from different places. I know a couple of people just started because uh, they heard this and that and were like, you know what, I want to do that too. And
Yeah,
others come from like actual musical backgrounds. Some people are teachers and then rap or started rapping in their free time. So yeah, there's like a whole bag of different people.
yeah, and I think that that's, like, something cool about music in general, but, like, I think really representative of nerdcore is just, like, it's always been a culture. I won't call it a genre, but it's always been a culture that, like, um, attracts people from a lot of different places in life and just places geographically. Um, and just like brings people together under sort of a common banner. So yeah, I really appreciate that about it.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, it did start off as like a genre, but it did kind of develop into a whole community. Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
and
One thing that's cool for me to see now is um, like I talk about being a Rustage fan for a long time. Like I always bring that up, like anytime that it's even like remotely tangential. But like seeing people now who like sort of the younger crowd who like they started rapping because they wanted to like they were inspired by Rustage and like Rustage or Shwabadi, like people who've who've been like, are part of like this new wave of nerdcore, like seeing people who were inspired by them and are coming to like be the next generation, like that's crazy to me. And that's something really cool. And I hope that like someday there will be people who got into nerdcore or got into rapping or music like because they saw something I did and they were like, yeah, I want to do that. Because I think that's something like crazy important to have is somebody that you just like that you want to emulate in any way. Something to aim for, something to not even aim for, but like be inspired by, It's like I want to be better than that or whatever.
yeah, and from what I understand, um, like just to give an example of someone who uh started doing stuff because they were inspired by people like Rustage, you, Schwabity. Explosion started
For
like
sure.
halfway through the year, I'd like to say,
Hmm.
at some point. Um, and he was off to a pretty good start too. So you
Yeah.
can definitely tell he's been taking notes and stuff. Um, like especially because a lot of these artists will write lyrics on stream,
Hmm.
give advice. I know Schwabney had his whole, I
Shop
think
analysis.
yes, Schwab analysis series, um, which I think is was pretty helpful for a lot of people who
Definitely.
are just now trying to get started or have gotten started but haven't uh, had much um, progress in like developing themselves.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's one thing I'd like to say is uh, so far the whole nerdcore community's been uh, really coming together, helping people out.
Yeah. One comment that I've been seeing on YouTube videos for like for years and years, for years is
Yes.
for years. You know, I had to get one in. Um, is people who are like very clearly extremely new to like recording and producing, um, commenting under like a song and saying like, "What kind of mic do you use?" And I remember when like that's a question that I felt compelled to ask a lot, and I think it's just recently like I realized that like the reason why people ask that question and the reason why used to ask that question is because what they really mean is like, I don't know where to start. And having anything that you can latch onto, like, okay, what kind of mic should I use? Um, it gives you some kind of like foothold into making your way into recording and like, rapping or whatever you want to do. And so like whenever I see that comment now, like I know some people are, like, annoyed by it, and I understand, like, if you want the comments to be about the song that you did and not just asking what kind of equipment you use, but, like, whenever I see that specific comment, I think it reminds me of sort of, like, like baby Freeced, like, just getting started, and, it really makes me, like, inspired to, like, make sure to take the time. with people who are just starting out, um, like, and give people a good set of like fundamentals and like the basics. Because I think so many people don't know where to start. Like, just they want to make music, they want to make nerdcore, whatever, and they don't know what the first thing is. And so like that's like what you were saying is like streamers, like nerdcore artists giving advice on stream and stuff. Like that's why I love that so much is because so many of these people like Schwabity or DPS or whoever, they're really coming alongside the younger artists or the people just starting out, um, and saying like, okay, here's how to write, um, here's how to write a punchline. Here's how to make a beat. Here's how to, the basics. Um, so yeah, and I think it's really cool whenever anybody asks like, "Hey, I want to get into nerdcore. What are some of like the first things I should know?" Or "I want to make music. What are some of the first things I should know?" Like I understand that the question can get old for some people, and especially if you're a bigger artist, you probably get asked all the time. But like for me, so far, it's a question I really enjoy answering because I think it's something I relate to a lot. It's just like as the idea of being somebody who's just starting out and needing just like anywhere to look to get a handhold. I feel like that was a bit of a tangent, but there you go.
Yeah. Um, words. Yeah, so tangents like that do happen, and these videos happened with Mark Cooper, but that was one of the most pleasant conversations ever because that dude's passionate as hell about the
Oh yeah,
community. Uh,
you can hear it in his music for sure.
Definitely. Uh, so I kind of want to move on a bit. Ooh, yawn.
I'm seeing if you're gonna make Marmite yawn again.
Yeah,
I feel like he
It's
just
a
knows.
cat thing. We just make each other yawn. Right. So, one thing I want to ask, uh, because I am recording this more in the end of 2020, and
Hmm.
we kind of we kind of met around the beginning of 2020.
Yeah,
Um, so uh, it has that's cute. All right, so uh, now it's not been the best year for everyone, but so far 2020 has been a really good year for the growth of the nerdcore community and just artists individually. Um, so how would you assess like your growth and improvement from around when you started stuff earlier this year to now? Like how do you think you were kind of falling short, and then how do you think you grew?
yeah, that's a good question. I think so. Like, I might think of it in terms of like when I started my channel, which was like last like September, November. Um, because I think the biggest difference, um, I mean, really, it's been a thing of this year, but like the biggest difference from last year to this year is that like I'm so much more involved with the nerdcore community than I was, really than I've ever been with any online community. Um, and like it's made me realize the difference between like having a popular YouTube channel and like being like a valued member of a community and like which is more important. Cause like a year ago I would have put like having a really successful channel. I would have rated that super high and I wouldn't have really that's not I would have rated it over being like loved in a community, but I just really hadn't considered that. Like I didn't really know what that meant. And so I think that like the most valuable thing that I found this year is like just finding my place within a community, like within other creators, and then also just like people who are fans of nerdcore, um, people who appreciate like what I do, what all these other artists do, um, and who come together like around these common interests. And yeah, like the community for sure is like the most important part of this year. But also just like in terms of growth, both as an artist and like channel growth, I've seen way more this year of both of those things than I anticipated. When I started my channel last year, I had a goal of reaching 1,000 subs, like by the end of 2020. Um, which at the time I was like, I didn't want to say it wasn't going to happen, but like I thought it was like a really ambitious goal. And now I'm like, over I'm like 1.6K or something like that. Um, and already, thinking about like, okay, next year, here's how I'm gonna hit 10K, here's how I'm gonna hit 20K. So I think I feel the momentum and I feel like my goals expanding. But the reason that I feel like confident about channel growth is because I feel confident in like my place in this community, and how I've grown as an artist. Um, and I feel like when I compare my just my rapping skills from last year to this year, it's not even close. Like I've learned so much from working with all these other artists, from just observing like what other people put out. Like I can point to specific people and be like, okay, yeah, I got this from that person. I got this from that person. Like that's actually easy to do. Like, um, I've gotten like when I want to do like aggressive vocals or something, like I've totally gotten that from like Schwabity. Um, Same there's, like, some production stuff that I've picked up from Shawbody as well. Um, at like, my ad libs have gotten way better just from, like, listening to, like, Connor Quest and Breton Boy or, like Ham Sanders, like, people who just excel at that. Some of my songs, it's almost like I'm doing a DPS impression with some of the lines, like, because I just love that delivery on some stuff. Um and then, like but all the same, it's all folding into my own style. So, like, um, I think just having that many influences and then also being able to talk to those people directly, like, just, like, last week, I think it was, maybe the week before, I was messaging Connor Quest, specifically to ask just like about one mixing thing that he does, like on his ad libs, and then like we ended up talking about mixing vocals in general, and just like being able to go straight to the source like that, it helps me improve so much faster than just like trial and error figuring stuff out. Which goes back to what I was saying before, like um, I think it's amazing how people just in the nerdcore community especially are so concerned with helping other people build their skills, and like achieve their goals. I think that's really cool. So yeah, honestly, just like in every way, when it comes to like um, you know growth in the community, just like friendships and you know I guess if you want to say networking, stuff like that, and then channel growth, and as well as just like growth in like, as an artist. Like, that's it's been a good year for all that stuff despite, all the ways that, this year has been difficult for a lot of us. I mean, for me, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah, and I know you say it's been difficult for you. I know earlier, like what was it, a month or two ago, you broke your wrist,
Yeah,
and
about, 2 2.5, uh, about 2 months ago. Um, yeah. Close to head-on collision, car accident, just one of those things. Broke my wrist. Uh, yeah, it's been a time, but
yeah,
you can't predict these things. You
yeah,
got
like stuff happens, you know.
stuff happens. Stuff
Uh,
happens.
but yeah, you're also doing better now. I
Yeah,
I think it's funny how how it kind of turned more into meme content than actually worrying
for
too
sure.
much, because people were calling you Freeced with the broken Reist.
Raced with the broken raced. Yeah. And, I don't have the, splint on anymore, so it's pretty much I don't know if you can see my scar there, but,
I can
that's
kind of see it.
all that remains. Obviously, wrist isn't a hundo yet, but I can type and stuff, so, uh, yeah, can't complain too much. Um, yeah, it's, that was one of those things, like, right after, uh I think it speaks to, like, how much I care about this community and, like, how big of a thing it is in my life, but, like like, right after the accident, I mean, before I'd even been to the hospital, like, before I even knew my wrist was broken, um, just, you know, when I so my, like I was at the moment of, like, my car was totaled, and I was, like, in pain, and, um, like, my instinct was to tweet about it, not because I felt like it was good content, uh, but, like, because that's where, like, my friends are. They're on Twitter, like, that they're and like, want them to know. Like, I don't know, it's like
Yeah,
it very much felt like I was just reaching out to my community, and, I mean, people's responses were just, like there was so much love and, like and care and support just immediately. Um, it really just, like it really reiterated to me, um, like, I've spoken before on, on the Breakfast Club and also on just my channel, um, and in general, and definitely on my Twitter, that, like, I deal with anxiety. I struggle a lot with, like, convincing myself or, like, allowing myself to be convinced, that people, like, really care about me and stuff like that, and that's not on anybody else, like, that's something that I deal with. Um, but, like, moments like that, I think, make it a lot easier just when you see, um, like, just how much people care, and, like, so immediately, and, like, the concern and just, like, um yeah, I think, like, you sometimes wonder if the people you know online, like, um if they think about you the same, or, like, if you're on their mind the same way as, like, somebody they know in person, and, yeah, moments like that. I mean, honestly, like, to me, that moment stands alone, just the sheer volume of support. But, like, that's the kind of thing that just it sticks with you, and in times um when it's not easy, uh, to remember that people care, when you have your doubts, um when there are a lot of other factors, that, like, weigh down on you and try to convince you, that things are worse than they are. Um, that's the kind of thing that I think, uh, just comes back, like, again and again, just to combat the negativity that comes. And, yeah, I mean, it's obviously just something I really appreciate. Like, I've said, um, like, I mean, I've said again and again, like, I really think that this is, like, the most, um, like, caring, loving, supportive community, maybe, like, on the internet, but definitely that I've ever been a part of.
yeah, definitely. Like, hell, my experience with the nerdcore community has been like mostly open arms, and that's always a good thing to see. All right,
You can definitely see that, like, the, like, toxic members of the community are always such outliers,
yeah,
like, in the way that the rest of the community responds to them. I think that's like a good way to tell.
Yeah, like so far, most of the people who like are like kind of sitting on the outskirts of the community but trying to do stuff within it that are toxic are usually just like people who sit on the outskirts and don't actually care about the community aspect. They just care about trying to make it. It seems, or at least that's been my observation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but those few people um do uh I mean, you can just tell like there will always be people that don't care about the community itself and they aren't part of the community, but they want to um have the advantages that come with being a member of a community. I think those are the people that you see that are um they don't support the community, they don't support other artists, but they want to draw the crowd and but I think that nerdcore artists and fans are just like very just have a pretty like strong gauge on like whether people are genuine
Yeah,
and those
it
people get sussed out.
and everyone's pretty tight knit, but with open arms. Like
Yeah.
you
There's not like a lot of gatekeeping. It's definitely not like that.
uh, like pretty much the biggest standard for the community is don't be a dick.
Yeah. Bring good vibes.
Yeah, good
I
vibes or
have yet to
perish.
see some good vibes or perish. I have yet to see somebody like join the community and just be a nice person and not be accepted. Like
Yeah,
I've never seen anybody who was just like nice, kind, and considerate not be accepted by the nerdcore community. Um, and that's a thing like um a lot of communities, right? Like they're not kind to artists just starting out. Um, you'll have a lot of like toxicity within certain fandoms where say somebody tries to make some fan art or like, maybe makes a song or whatever, and it's not great because they're just starting out. Um, you'll have some communities where, um, people are just toxic to those people, or they're just like very unkind. But I feel like in nerdcore, you know, there's lots of people that are just starting out, but the response to those people is far more overwhelmingly positive and encouraging, and I think that that encourages people to keep trying, and I think that that is, like, only a good thing. So it's like another positive thing that I see.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Like
yeah,
you can go into a person's Discord server, right? And just uh you can show off your works or like show something you're writing and it could be whack as hell and like low quality and someone is going to appreciate it. There's lots of people who are going to provide like actual constructive criticism. Like everything I've seen so far is people just trying to build each other up. And
yeah,
that's one
for
thing I
sure.
like about it.
Yeah, it's good vibes and self-improvement.
Yeah. Which like this conversation's kind of fitting because you're like one of the most good vibe people in the community. Uh,
I try
especially,
to be.
yeah. Like I've seen the Breakfast Club. Like you always like regardless of how the conversation goes, you always like to wrap things up with the best vibes a person's had throughout that
Yeah.
week. And that's one thing I think we can all appreciate is someone bringing the good vibes.
I think that, like, it's, I mean, I say this a lot, but, like, one of my biggest, like, I guess you could say heroes and, like, influences is Mr. Rogers, who, like, people in the US know him really well, and, like, people out the US maybe have, like, some sort of, like, passing knowledge of him. Um, but like I assume most people have some idea of who he was. But like um I feel like he embodied um sort of most of what I mean when I talk about having good vibes. Like if you're around me for any length of time, you'll hear me talk about good vibes. Um and what I mean isn't like that you have to be happy all the time, or that you ignore like bad things that happen. Um it's not that at all. It's not that you can't be sad, not that you can't be upset. Um but to me, like, what good vibes means is it means um like making the effort to recognize good things when they happen, to appreciate the good things that you see in life, to appreciate the good that you see in other people and in yourself, and that, like, as far as you can, to like do whatever it is you love, um as long as it doesn't hurt you or anybody else. And that, like, when you do have negative experiences, negative thoughts, or like you're upset or whatever, that like you're able to um have the support of like a community that looks out for you, and that you're able to you know deal with your problems in a healthy way. um yeah, so like i uh I think that I see that kind of attitude like reflected in a lot of parts of this community. And yeah, again, it's just something that I appreciate about it, but also that like I definitely try to bring um in into whatever space that I'm in, because I feel like um it's never something that anybody uh doesn't need.
Yeah. Uh, so, do. Words, words, words. That's a song, by the way.
Bo Burnham.
uh, I was gonna make a comment, and then like the comment just left my head. So instead,
It's
we're gonna,
also a Shakespeare quote. Words, words, words.
yeah. And you would know that because, like, you know,
Famously.
well, that, and aren't you an English major, by the way?
Yeah. Yes, I am famously an English major.
So, like, out of a lot of the people in the nerdcore community, you're like the one is probably s- who's probably the most certified to like write words, because that's pretty much what you went to school for.
Yeah, I went to school for writing rap lyrics. I think that like it kind of like it's kind of a bit of a loop. Because like, yeah, I did go to school for English. I have a degree in English. Um but like I went to school for English because it's always just been an interest of mine, like something that I was naturally good at, both like writing and like being interested in literature and things like that, editing, whatever. Um, so I think that like you can definitely see that in some of my music, and especially I think like my stuff from the first half of this year, and last year as well. You see a lot of like um a lot of I don't know, it's like $20 words. Like I think I probably use like more like SAT vocab, or like,
Ha.
not like necessarily big words, but just like words that most people wouldn't use in a rap. I tend to use a lot of those. Um, because those are the words that I use when I speak a lot of the time. I use words that most people don't use. Um, I
Like
mean,
frivolous,
I'm pretty sure
fervor.
Frivolous Shara uses that.
Yeah, frivolous
Um,
char also uses that a
but
lot because
Fervor,
it's a
yeah.
fervor.
Yeah, Fervor, that's one that people have talked about a lot. I guess I didn't realize that wasn't a word that people use. Um
I
but
didn't
it's just
realize
yeah,
it
I
wasn't a
just
word.
and I would say that's not so much from being an English major, it's just because, like, growing up, I read a lot of classic literature, it's what we had in the house, and a lot of my vocabulary, like, especially when I was younger, um, was kind of old-fashioned, honestly. Um, so I think that actually, like, if you look at my music this year, a big thing that I've been learning this year, is how to, like, not j like, still use some of those $20 words, um, but also just, like, how to sort of vibe on a beat and just, like, really, like, how when to say something that's, um, like, I don't know, like, scholarly, and when to say something that's just kind of, like just kinda sounds dope. Um, I think that, like, a really good example of where I've sort of, like, melded those 2 things is, my newest song, "Smooches for the Homies,"
Yeah.
um, out on Spotify now,
Yeah,
where
stream, Smooches for the Homies on Spotify.
like, the song is not that it's not that complicated, but, like, I also use the word, like, centrifuge because it fits, but, like, because it's contrasted to the style of the song, it's comical. Um, I think that, like, the biggest thing that studying English and, and especially, like, I guess honestly just, like, really my whole, not necessarily, like, having an English degree, like, that doesn't do anything for somebody on its own, but, like, paying such close attention to every word that I use for so long, um, I think it really, like it does help me in my writing in a way to where, like, every word that I write in a song is very precise. Like, it's exactly the words that I wanna use. I don't use a lot of filler words. Um, I don't use a lot of, like, throwaway phrases. I tend to, I think, write very economically, to where, like, yeah, basically, like, every word that's in a line tends to serve a purpose, whether it's to, like, sound the best that anything in that line could sound, or whether it's just, like, pure, like, content. And I'm forever looking at a line that I've written and trying to figure out how to rephrase it or use a different word to make it flow better, or, to say something a little bit different. So I think that's, like, the editor side of me. So, um, I think that what's been really useful to me, though, is seeing the people um, who don't have the most intricate lyrics, but have a really good flow, and seeing, like, okay, what is it about the way that they write and what is about their delivery that makes their songs work when they don't have that, you know, sort of clever lyricism that, people like Dan Bull and Connor Quest would have.
Yeah,
So that's something I'm really interested in and I'm trying to get better at.
yeah, and I will say that it definitely has been like your attention to detail to like the stuff that you write is definitely reflective, especially as you continue growing. Like a lot of a lot of the songs that you've been putting out just has like in terms of uh the lyrics, it's just smooth and clean. I don't know how else to describe it.
Um, Thank you. I'm really glad to, like, get other perspectives on it because, uh, like, as any artist says, like, I get in my head about it, and I'm never quite sure, like, how effective it is. But, I mean, that's, like, some of the feedback that I've been getting is, like, people, are noticing it. But I feel like in some ways, like, I'm not too upset if people don't notice it because, um, it's kind of like, kind of like a having as an editor, like, if I think of it in terms of being an editor, it's like, well, if you do your job right, nobody knows that you were there. Um, so in some ways, like um, yeah, it uh, it doesn't bother me if people don't notice it. It's like I would notice it and it would bother me if it wasn't up to code. If that makes any sense.
It kind of makes sense. Uh, duh, duh, duh. More words. Fleeting thoughts leaving my mind. Alright. Actually, a few more things. So, uh, one thing I would like to ask is, moving forward, do you have any sort of uh, plans like for the future? Um, I know you've mentioned before that you want to try getting around to streaming and stuff. Um, and I know just a couple of other things you've mentioned doing.
Yeah. So like one of my like biggest goals for a while has been to stream regularly. And the two things that were standing in my way were not having reliable internet at home, um, and my computer couldn't handle it. So I have a new PC that can definitely handle streaming. Um, my internet is kind of like I'm sort of at a place where I'm like we have a new service and I'm kind of seeing if it's up to it. So I've been doing like a few like test streams on Discord just to see if it can handle that before I try anything on Twitch. Um, but I really am hoping to start streaming, maybe not regularly right away, but at least to start doing some test streams on Twitch really soon. Um, so that's definitely a big goal of mine, and I think in 2021 I do want to make streaming like a consistent thing for me. I want to stream, 2 3 times a week at least. um, because since I've started my second channel, Fneast, um, I've been doing reactions and stuff, and so like I'd love to record my reactions on stream because that's one of my favorite things to see. On Saturday, like I know every Saturday I can like tune into Schwabity's stream and he's reacting to all the new stuff. Um, and like other obviously like Kuro streams his reactions. Well, pretty much like anybody that almost any like nerdcore sort of like artist really that reacts tends to stream their reactions. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. So yeah, streaming will be a big thing for me. I hope. Um, I I was planning on putting out an album like like this past summer. Um, but it's kind of two things for that. Like the first thing is um that I wanted to put out the album and then have the album with me as I did like a lot of live shows. I was actually initially planning on like making live shows a much bigger part of Freeced than
Yeah,
like anything else.
but then
Um
2020 happened.
2020 happened. Um so which I think made like, live streaming even more important. Um but like and that like made me focus more on my channel, and I think I've uploaded more because of it. Um, but yeah, like, and then the other thing is like, so I didn't work on the album as much because I was more focused on YouTube because I wasn't doing live shows. Uh, and then also like since I started writing some of those songs and like and producing them, I've gotten much better at like writing and much better at producing. And my delivery has gotten better. So like in every way, I've improved as an artist since I started working on the album, which has led me to pretty much scrap like everything that I initially had and like start over. So now I'm looking at like maybe putting it out next year, but honestly not worrying about it too much because um when it comes to like being an online artist, albums are like they're cool, but nobody will ever like like your audience as an online as a like an independent online artist, like the sort of like time cost or money cost um of putting together an album will never like almost never pay off in like how well it performs because singles are just like way more profitable.
Yeah.
That said, like artists love making albums and that's why we do it. We make albums because we want to. And as long as like that's the reason, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, and
Yeah.
obviously I love the albums, that have come out in nerdcore.
I know, like Schwabity put out two
Yeah.
this year and has like another one or two in the works currently. Uh,
Yeah.
I know,
And I love those albums.
I know Mark Cooper
Mhm.
also put something or another
He
out
put
as
out a
well.
cool, that was like a concept album, right?
Yeah, that was
I mean,
actually it was really
and
interesting.
that's the kind of thing that I really love, and that's the kind of thing that I wanna do. So I wanna do a concept album. Um, I had an idea today. I don't know if this will ever happen. I'm just throwing it out there because it was an idea that I had. But last year I had a song called "See the Humans" that's about a robot, like AI that exists like hundreds or thousands of years after humans have gone extinct, and he's just talking about how cool it would be to have a human friend, and he like wonders what humans were like. And like that would be a fun concept album. Is to do like an album from the perspective of that robot who's just like a big fan of humans but doesn't really know anything about them. Um, so like I've always got concept album ideas running through my head. It's just like, well, right now I'm also trying to put out a song every single week, and it's not like this is my full-time job. So um I think that like uh for um well, I won't speak for anybody else, but like for me, um the idea or aspiration of like eventually being able to do music as a full-time job is that that would allow me to do stuff like make an album, um, because I would have less external stuff to worry about. And I think that like that's sort of the like biggest motivation to me in that regard is just like because it's something that I love doing. It's like the reason that I would want to do it as a job is because I love doing it so much, and just get to do more of it. Which I think that like is something that is understood by a lot of artists, but isn't necessarily talked about as much. Is like, I wanna do this, like, full time so that I can do it all the time, which was not the question, but, there you
Yeah.
go.
I got another yawn. It
Let's
is.
see
It is definitely late.
we'll see if we go 3 for 3 for making Marmite yawn. So he's yawned the last 2 times that you've yawned. And he seems pretty sound asleep though, so I guess we'll see.
All right. So, uh, still kind of on the subject of things you're looking forward to. Is there anything like really like more current that you might be excited to uh talk about that you might be working on?
Oh, wow. Alright, let me think, because I'm trying to think of, like, stuff that I'm on, like, other people's channels and then stuff that I'm working on my own. I'll start out in, like, general terms. In general terms, I'm gonna be on a couple ciphers on some other channels, that you will have heard of, that I'm excited about. I won't say more than that because I'm not sure, like, how much is generally known yet, but,
Yeah.
um so I'm excited about those. Um, they are both for shows that I have not seen that I had to had not seen before that I had to watch and research just to do these, which is funny because that's exactly why I started watching Haikyuu, and now I'm like the biggest Haikyuu fan.
Yeah,
Was to do Shawbity's cipher earlier this year, which I didn't really mention at when you were asking me like when I got into the nerdcore community, but like that was one of the biggest things that got me into the community and talking to people in general was being on that cipher. Like before, I think maybe the Overwatch 2 cipher before that kind of introduced me to like a few people. I knew people sort of generally. The Haikyuu cipher, definitely when I started talking to Shwabadi more.
yeah,
Because I remember and that was in like March or something, like February, March,
I think so.
when he reached out to me about that. And I remember that being at that time, still being intimidated to talk to Shwabadi. Um, because I was such a bit just a big fan of his.
Yeah, I'm still intimidated talking to really anyone.
I mean, same. Uh, to me, I started out being fans of so many of the people that I'm friends with now, and it's not like I stopped being fans of theirs. Shwabadi is still like the coolest person ever, ever. Like he's so dope. He's so cool. um, so it's it's one of those things where it's yeah, we are friends now, but I I just still think he's the bee's knees. What was I talking about? Not me being distracted thinking about Shwabadi. Um, uh, right, stuff I'm working on. So yeah, so those ciphers, doing those, doing a I've recorded for a couple collabs that I think are gonna be good. I don't know when those are coming out. Hopefully soon. So I guess the first thing is I'm gonna be on some other channels that I haven't been on before, or that I have been on before, um, but I'm gonna be on them again, whatever. So I'm gonna be on a few different channels. So keep an eye out for me
All
there.
right.
Um, I want to do some more collabs on my channel. So hopefully, I'm hoping next year I'll be doing a lot more collabs on my channel. Working ahead of it more. As far as right now, what I'm working on, I think the biggest thing is I've started doing more reactions on my second channel, Fneast. So all my music is now gonna be on Freeced, or I should say, only my music is gonna be on Freeced. So if so all the stuff that's already on it will stay on it, but
Hmm.
the only thing that I'll be uploading to there now will be music, which hopefully the algorithm will like, because it doesn't
Yeah,
tend to like channels that do a bunch of different stuff. So and I'm trying to do more music more frequently there. So I guess the two big things are the Breakfast Club has moved. It used to be on my main channel, Freeced, and it's now on my second channel, Fneast, which is F2CED. Um, so if you want to keep listening to the Breakfast Club on YouTube, you'll have to go subscribe to Fneast to see when new episodes come out. It'll still be in the same playlist. So if you just go to the playlist on my main channel for the Breakfast Club, it'll be there, but you'll just see that the new episodes are from the second channel. So that's as far as the most current important thing, I think that is something a lot of people don't know about. Um, so be aware of that.
yeah,
Like I said, I'm gonna be on a bunch of ciphers and stuff. Um, yeah, there's another thing, but it's not my project. It's just something that I'm part of, and it's not starting until January, I think. So I don't think I can talk about it. But
yeah.
just remember that I said in January, there's something I'm going to be part of that I think is going to be very cool, and I hope it blows up.
Right. Uh, again, I forgot what I was about to say. So can you spell out the second channel for it?
Yeah. So it's pronounced Fneast, because ni is Japanese for two, but it's F2CED. Um, so because it doesn't have a ton of subs yet, you might have to uh, just just make sure you type that out exactly. You'll find it. In fact, I think that channel's old enough now that I can give it a custom URL. Because it's got over 100 subs and it's old enough. So probably whenever this comes out, you should be able to go to youtube.com uh slash fneast F2CED and find
Yeah,
it.
and I'll
Otherwise, just
probably
yeah.
I'll definitely put a link to it in the description of this video. Uh, so yeah, uh, down below. Uh, d d Actually, real quick question: did you by chance upload an episode of the Breakfast Club earlier this week? Cause
I did not. So yeah, I said on Twitter, but I don't know how many people saw. I was like like sick the past weekend or like 4 or 5 days. I'm like just getting over that. So I didn't do an episode this week, but there should be a new episode up next week. So as we're recording this, it's the 11th. So whatever the Wednesday, December 11th. So whatever the Wednesday is after that, there should be a new episode.
alright, like I asked because you did just say that you were gonna start uploading that to your second channel, and
Yes.
uh I was actually looking to see if you uploaded the other day, and or I guess yesterday, and I didn't see anything.
Yeah, yeah. But I think there's 2 episodes on Feast already. There's one with Luke, the composer, who he's the assistant to Yuki Hayashi, who does the music for Haikyuu and My Hero Academia and some other anime. So that one's really interesting if you want to learn more about like anime music and like the process of composing and stuff. 'Cause he lives in there in Japan and works with Yuki. Um, and then the other one is with Mika Catastrophe, who y'all have probably seen around, and who I have said is my headcanon voice for Pat, the non-binary Apatosaurus.
Hmm.
So that's a very fun episode as well.
All right. Uh, mm. Well, we're still talking about it. I do want to know what got you wanting to do the Breakfast Club podcast.
Um, well, I love podcasting. Like I was saying before, like uh my first like recording stuff that I ever did was just like me and my friend Dustin messing around in Audacity. And we would do like we would write like random short stories and then like do we would like read them. We would like record ourselves reading them, like trading off every paragraph. Um we would just like record random little like skits and conversations and stuff. And it was all just like us goofing around in Audacity. And then in high school, my best friend Caffeine and I started doing a podcast that was not very good, but we had a lot of fun doing it. Um, and then like after that, we did 2 more podcasts together. And then in between, I did like when I first started going to college, I did a podcast just with just like like news and interviews with like the people that I went to school with. Um, and then I also started doing like a podcast on my own like a year or 2 ago that was just like a good vibes like sleepy time podcast where I would read like poetry or short stories over ambient music. So like I've been podcasting. And I love podcasting. It's honestly like probably my favorite creative form. Which is a pretty like bold statement for somebody who's mostly known as a rapper. But
Yeah.
podcasting is it's honestly like it's my favorite thing to do. and I'm good at it as far as like I'm good at like recording them and like editing them and like knowing how to package them and stuff. Um, so it's something that I have like a lot of joy in doing. And when I started getting more involved in the nerdcore community, um, it was a bit of like it was kind of two things. It was like that sort of like creative artist, content creator brain um that like we all have was like, okay, how can I turn something that I enjoy into content? Um, and then like the second thing was like I wish that I had more opportunities to talk with my friends in the nerdcore community and uh me having anxiety, me not being great at like initiating conversations or like engineering social situations. um it kind of meant that like for me it was a lot easier to talk to people if it was like scheduled, like if it was planned. um so it was kind of like um honestly like a sort of like a sneaky way for me to just be able to have conversations with uh like my friends in the nerdcore community once a week. um and I was like, well, I'm also good at podcasting, so I'll make it a podcast.
So,
um and then I was like driving home from school one day and I was like, oh, the Breakfast Club, like that's such a good name that I have to do it now.
hmm,
'Cause I'd been, like, considering it for a while, and then as soon as I came up with that name, I was like, "Alright, next week, I'm recording an episode."
I will say it's definitely a very clever name. And I like how you basically started a podcast because you're like, you know what? I want to talk with my friends more often. I'm gonna start a
It's really yeah.
podcast.
That's my solution to everything is I'll start a podcast.
You need to You want to start brainstorming song ideas? Start a podcast.
Start a podcast. That's not a bad idea. You got the gears spinning. Now I'm like, "Okay, now we'll start a podcast where, me and, like, another rapper write a song over the course of the podcast, and then at the end of the podcast, we perform it." Like, that's a podcast right there. We
Boom.
just created a podcast. I don't know what it's called yet.
Freeced Isles.
Freestyles isn't too bad, although that would imply that we're freestyling. So I'm not
It could be a
completely sure about that, but you know what? We'll tweak it, we'll engineer it. It'll get there. The
but like
first idea is the hardest.
but you could still do like a whole freestyling bit. You
Yeah,
start the episode um where you want to make a quick and easy beat. You spitball topics that you'd want to freestyle, and then you wrap up the podcast with a freestyle.
there you go. That you know what we gotta do? It's gotta be co-hosted by Diggs the Prophecy,
Yes,
because he's like a bona fide freestyler, and,
or Professor
yeah.
Crow.
Or Kuro, yeah. Kuro, he's nice off the top. I don't think I've heard him
Oh,
freestyle over a beat before, but
so
he's got bars off the
so
top.
yeah, just before recording this, I was peeping into Kuro's stream, and he was doing this freestyle over like an Among Us kind of beat,
Okay.
and it was like butter.
I'll check out the VOD then. That sounds dope.
Yeah, and so I think he'd be pretty good to have on that. See, now we're just talking about making another podcast. Now you got two
Yeah.
podcasts for your channel.
We are podcasting ideas for a podcast.
Oh no.
Back in the day, Caffeine and I we had considered doing a podcast, um, where the whole thing was just like each week we tried out a new podcast premise until we found one that we liked, but we never did that one because we were too busy doing our two other podcasts.
And now this has turned from it being an interview to just another podcast.
I have a way of doing that. I I'm not used to being interviewed. I'm used
Oh,
to either like interviewing people or just like talking about whatever. Oh, that's a big yawn from Marmite. Um yeah. It's kind of uh like when you see people on stage for the first time and they don't know what to do with their hands.
yeah.
Like that's how I am with like my
Yeah,
words when I'm being interviewed.
yeah. And yeah, that's fair. Like, I think just about everyone I've interviewed so far hadn't been interviewed prior. So, like, you're definitely not alone. Being interviewed's probably kind of whack. That's why I'm gonna stick with interviewing others.
It's it's a fun change, and I mean, I don't think that there'll ever be a shortage of people to interview because artists by and large, love being interviewed. I mean, everybody loves talking about themselves. Not everybody, but artists do for sure. Um, it's like that. What's that other Bo Burnham song? It's like, is it just called "Art Is Dead" or the one where it's like, "I am an artist," something something. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh, I think
Where you
so.
talk,
It's just been a
yeah.
minute.
I think that might be "Art Is Dead."
Uh,
Um. Anyway, that's how I feel.
anyways, we're running at like an hour and 20 minutes. So I think we should probably head towards wrapping this up. But
Sounds good to
but
me. It's a pretty good length.
before we do that, I do want to ask, do you have like is there any artists in the community that you feel like deserve more attention than they're probably getting? Whether they're someone who's prominent but not performing as well as you think they could, or someone who's just starting out, and you think everyone should go check out. Like, give me like anywhere between 1 to 3 people.
Okay, I'll do a few categories. I'll do like I'll just okay. I'll just explain what I'm doing. So, um, somebody who like is well known, but who I think deserves a lot more respect is Connor Quest. I
Definitely.
think that like from a writing perspective, he's like easily in like the like top three nerdcore artists. Um,
Definitely. Like
and I think
that
that like
I will I'm a uh take that for a second.
yeah,
Yeah, shout out Connor Quests. He's been putting in so much work, and his lyric writing game has been on point since he started and has been just improving since.
yeah,
And
that's I mean, that's the thing that I think is just like really admirable is like he's always improving. You can hear his production too has improved even just this year. Um, and like I love that he's singing more. I love that he's trying out like new sounds with songs more. Um, I think like this year, and Shabadi both have been like trying a lot of different stuff, and I think next year from both of them we're going to hear a much more refined version of like their sound and their style. But um, I wanted to point out specifically just like how clever Connor Quest is, and also like his delivery is great. I talk about his ad libs, but like his articulation and his like inflection is well above average.
like
Um, and I think that like also specifically the sort of like swagger in his delivery is something that I think a lot of people associate more with like American artists. Um, for instance, like uh Rustage, I don't think has that kind of swagger. He's, like, very strong in other ways, but, I think a lot of people expect, uh, more of, like, a, I don't know, like, not flat, but, like, um, I don't even know how to describe it. Connor Quest's voice is just cheeky, like, that and he's
Yeah,
definitely honed that, and so, like, that's what I'm saying is, like, I think next year, like, you're gonna see all those elements, like his production just improving, um, and then his like his writing is just has been good. Like it's something I've talked about constantly. Like Connor Quest, I think it was the first time he was on the Breakfast Club. Um, I don't remember which time, but we talked about like how his writing has like been strong from the beginning, and he's like been improving other stuff.
yeah.
Um, so I think like next year, like, yeah, it's just gonna be mind-blowing. So, I guess what I'm saying is, like, yes, I know he's already ramping up in popularity, and that's gonna continue, but, like, if you're not if you're not aware of just the level of, like, where he is now and what he's gonna become, like, you're just gonna be, don't let it catch you off guard. Um, and so somebody else that I would say, like, is really good but doesn't get a lot of recognition yet. I think he gets a lot of recognition from like people within the community, like as far as other artists, but his channel's like really small. I don't know what his Spotify numbers are. They might be really good. I have no idea. Uh, but like Ham Sandwich. Ham Sandwich has like some of the hardest bars, has some of the best delivery, has probably the best ad libs in the game. Um, and is just like incredibly entertaining to listen to. Um, so like, yeah, subscribe to Ham Sandwich on YouTube because every time that I see that sub count, I'm like, where are the rest? Where are the rest of his subscribers? Because like, he's already so good. Um, I mean, if you look at his discography, like clearly he's been working for a while. I don't know how long he's been on YouTube, but
Yeah.
yeah, that number needs to
I do want
go
to
way up.
say, I want to say something.
Yeah.
Like for a minute, I didn't know who Ham Sandwich was. I just thought it was just another name for the Hamilton and Cheese Thief duo until I
Yeah.
actually heard. Uh, I think I heard his. I think I heard him on a track that had like I think it was on a track with Breton Boy, I want to say. I can't remember exactly, but then it was like, wait a minute, this isn't
Yeah.
Connor Quest or Rust.
No. No, he's a whole guy. Um, his music is unlike anything else. Like, the closest thing that I could compare him to is like, uh, oh, what's his name? The guy who did Jesus Is the One, uh, with Kenny Beats. This is gonna bother me. Something Fox? Uh,
Definitely not Gray Fox.
no. Jesus is the what is who is the, Fox? Zach Fox. Yeah, he's sort of like Zach Fox, if I could compare him to anybody, and just that, like, he's off the wall and just, like I said, incredibly entertaining to listen to. So, subscribe to Ham Sandwich on YouTube and run up, his album, Yes Sir, on, Spotify and wherever else.
All right.
One artist that I wanna say, like, is up and coming as far as, like, I don't think that he's, um, I don't think he has grown into his sort of like his voice or his style yet, but I think that like when he does, he's going to be really good and could be like I could see him being like somebody in nerdcore down the line is Kola Kong, who was on my Food Wars rap that I did a little bit ago.
Yeah, I
Um
actually listened to that. Also, check that out on YouTube. because it is a pretty fun song.
Yeah. I really like his Food Wars song, and that's actually the reason that I, asked him to be on mine. I just like I think that his writing is so clever, and I think that, um, his, like his sense of, I feel like his rap sense is there, and he definitely has bars, and he's definitely, entertaining, and he has good song ideas. I think that, I hope people will keep an eye on him because, when he finishes developing that voice and, that sort of, that confidence, I think he's still missing some of that swagger, like, some of that mojo that I was talking about.
Hmm.
Um, but, yeah, when he realizes that potential, and he's young, he's just, he's just starting out too. But when he hits that peak, I think he's gonna pop off, and I think people should be there for it. Um, so yeah, just keep an eye out. Subscribe to Ham Sandwich. Subscribe to Cola Kong.
All
Pro
right,
tip. Pro tip with Freest.
all right. Uh, well, thank you for that. And yeah, definitely check out Connor Quest, Cola Kong, and Ham Sandwich because uh, they're all really good artists. I haven't listened to too much Cola Kong, but I've heard a couple of things, and then I've heard a couple of things from Ham Sandwich, and so far everything I've heard is really good. So uh, definitely thanks for shouting out those guys. Um, and we've hit the hour 30 mark, so let's wrap
Wow.
this up. Let's take a page from the Breakfast Club. Is there anything you'd like to say to sign off?
Oh, like a sign off, or should I drop my links? I don't know
Both.
if which one you want me to do. Okay, okay.
Links first.
Um, okay, sure. Well, I have this habit of having like a different tag on every social media. So, you can find me on Twitter at @mefreest. That's where I'm the most active. Um, you can find me on Instagram at freestraps. On Twitch, twitch.tv/freest with 6 E's in the middle, FREEEEEEECED. And, very newly, I'm on TikTok. I can't guarantee that I'll, ever post there. I got it so that I could check and see, who's using my songs and stuff, 'cause, some of my songs are available on, TikTok as sounds. But I have put up a couple videos, so I'm just at Freest on TikTok if you wanna follow me there. Yeah, youtube.com/Freest, that's my main channel where I post my music. YouTube.com/Fneast, F2CED. That's where I post my reactions and the Breakfast Club. Um, I have a Discord server too, but you can find that from my channel in the
Yeah,
description
and
of any
I'll
video.
I'll put the links in the description here as well. And uh,
So yeah, that'll be the much easier way to find any of that stuff that I just said. Can you say something super profound for about 7 seconds while I let Marmite out? He is screaming at the door.
all right, something super profound. えっと、おはようございます。
uh, wow, I think that really spoke to all of us.
Alright, so back to the interview. Uh, that is now actually over. Um, would you like to sign off?
Yeah. Um, Stay safe. It's sure scary out there, but bring good vibes where you go. Um, don't bring v- don't bring viruses. They're not preferred. Um, wear your mask, obviously. Um, and smooch the homies from a safe distance. Good luck,
Yeah,
good vibes.
don't smooch like in person just yet. It can
Yeah,
wait.
Yeah. We get the vaccine rolled out, NPC 2021, be a lot of smooching.
Yeah,
Lot of smooching.
you should open NPC with that song,
Yeah.
and then
I'm going to
only people in your circle will understand.
yeah. It's like, it'll be like communion at a Catholic mass. Like, every person that attends, NPC will be able to, like, walk up the aisle and smooch daddy fat snaps and then return to their seat.
Yeah. Anyways, this
Yeah.
has oh, yeah. This has been my interview with Freeced. Say bye, Freeced.
Take care.
And I will see y'all next time. Uh, bye, everyone.